Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Movie and and I'm RJ.
And I'm Paige.
And today we are going to be talking about 1996's Scary Movie.
You mean Scream, right?
Yeah, the working title when they wrote the script was Scary Movie.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
No, it was Kevin Williamson wrote it as Scary Movie, and then it got changed to Scream.
Fantastic. I did not know that.
Yeah. Hence is why at the end of the movie they have the double entendre of they have the Scary Movie reference and then they have the Scream reference in like one in a sentence of part of each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is probably, I think, the first horror movie of the season in which it was like of very high importance to the both of us. Like, it's something that was relevant enough to us when we got older to where we would still watch it and it would still kind of, you could still look at it and be like, oh, it's current-ish, unlike watching Texas Chainsaw where it's the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the bad thing about this is, since this is the 90s and this is still some sort of relevance, it was home to the shitty trailer.
Yeah. Oof. You want to talk about it first?
Sure, it was rough.
It was capital R rough, yes.
It didn't look like a movie trailer, like a movie trailer. It looked like when you're like, coming soon on VHS.
Yes.
And then that's what plays right after.
Yes, it did, yes. Well, okay, to be fair, to me, this is a movie, probably because it's how I experienced it, where you're watching this with your buds on the VHS, for like a movie night or whatever. But like, so that's why the trailer kind of fits to that for me. But if you're seeing this in theaters, like coming soon to a theater near you, no. This is a really good trailer.
I will say this trailer is probably why when Variety was doing like the box office predictions for movies, this movie was tagged as DOA before it came out from Variety.
That makes sense. If you just seen this trailer, yeah, I would say the same thing.
Yeah, it ended up not being DOA. It ended up doing good weekdays, but I understand with the trailer why, if you looked at it, it's like, this movie's gonna flop.
Yeah.
This movie's gonna flop real hard.
I mean,
and also 96, not a good time for horror in general at that time.
I mean, even if your big selling point, even in the trailer they showed it, is you have Drew Barrymore in your horror movie, and they're still gonna say it's gonna flop. Yeah, it's got to be on the trailer at that point.
True, but I also feel like Drew Barrymore in 96 was kind of out of relevancy in a way.
Even if she was, you'd be like, oh, is this her comeback? You know what I mean?
That's true. I mean, we were a few years away from Charlie's Angels, so.
Yeah,
but
quite a few. I think Charlie's Angels.
Around 5 years?
Yeah, so.
The thing with this trailer, unlike the other trailers we had in the season, I can't say much because the trailer really gave you nothing.
Nothing as in what it's going to be about?
Yeah, it was like, it looked like a 90s horror movie.
Which it is.
It is, but it's the thing that defined 90s horror, and the fact that its trailer kind of just was like, it could have been an Urban Legends, or it could have been I Know What You Did Last Summer. It just kind of had that type of feeling to it, in a sense. They probably copied Scream, but
right.
Looking at it now, it's like, there's nothing special about the trailer compared to the movie itself. Do you have anything else to say about the trailer?
Nope. I really don't.
It's so inconsequential. You're like, I love the movie trailer. I really didn't need to see that trailer.
Yeah.
So, are we ready to get into this movie?
Abso-fucking-lutely. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. So, I'm not even going to start really with and this is, the whole Wikipedia sentence thing. It's just the Casey Becker opening. I feel like we can go off that.
You mean the Drew Barrymore opening?
Yes. The opening that almost got Wes Craven fired.
And why is that?
The production company hated the dailies.
Really?
Yeah, and eventually they did like a mini cut of just the movie of the beginning, and they were like, okay, we're stupid, we get it.
Good.
Moving on.
I'm glad.
But initially, it was like he almost got fired.
That's
because of
insane.
the dailies.
Because I'm going to be honest, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, but I think it's that thing of a lot of the shots, if I remember correctly, they said a lot of the shots were steady cams, and the production company was not understanding the heavy use of steady cams.
Okay. See, that's again interesting because I thought the camera work really stood out in a good way, especially with this opening shot, and it probably has the steady cam. I think it has to do with a lot of horror movies back in the day, a lot of handheld. Which, you want that fear, you want that adrenaline feel, but the Steadicam adds an extra level of, suspense and unease, because it's like, why is this feeling so easy when we know something's about to go down?
I think it's that, but also Wes Craven's an amazing director, so he knew how this was gonna look in the end. Like, he sees the full vision of it, while other people are seeing just, like, the dailies of it. Another fun fact about this, Drew Barrymore actually called the police by accident.
Oh, no, she did not.
When she called 911.
That's a real working phone line?
That was a real working... Well, because they had... I forgot the name of the guy who plays Ghostface.
Okay.
But she told Wes Craven, listen, if you want to get the true reaction out of me, the other person needs to be on that phone.
So smart of her.
And they put him in another room in the house. They never met, but they were at least interacting with each other. So it was a real working phone line, which means when she called the cops, oh, damn. And they showed up. Oh, sorry, they didn't show up. They called back.
Right,
because they're like, who just called us?
Oh, that's a fun tidbit.
Yep. And I think this is probably the only other tidbit I got for the beginning of the movie. She was the first... Well... She wasn't casted. She basically told Wes Craven, I want to be in the movie. And then they said, okay.
You're going to say no to Drew Barrymore? You're not.
Exactly. Fun fact, the way they made it sound like, no one else was casted until she decided what role she wanted.
Really? So she could have wanted Sydney, and they would have been like, yeah, sure, you can have whatever you want.
She was originally pegged as Sydney.
Okay.
But she was like, no, I want Casey. And they were like, okay, now let's go find the rest of the cast.
Why do you think she would want Casey?
Because it's different. It's something that's a standout. It is probably... If you asked me what would be the hardest and most challenging character to play, it would be her.
I agree.
Especially for like just the short 15 minutes we see her, it's still a very, agonizing
intense
experience in those 15 minutes.
And again, it's...
I actually think the movie goes down in scariness
from
post Casey's death.
Yeah. Again, this is definitely one of my favorite parts of the film. The filmmaking is great. Lighting's great. Audio. Again, throughout the entire movie, the music is really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Do you think maybe she's like, hey, I'm Drew Barrymore, and if I die in the first 15 minutes of your film, you're going to get something good?
It could be that.
Yeah.
I think it's that thing of, I think it's secretly they really wanted her to be Sydney because you get to market Drew Barrymore.
Exactly. And she's on the poster.
But when she says, I want to be Casey, and when you need to go and send this script to other actors to get them on, saying we have Drew Barrymore signed is more important than fighting her to be the final girl.
Absolutely.
Best choice overall.
Absolutely.
For everybody.
Yes.
But now that we got all that fun facts, let's talk about this scene. It's that thing of everyone knows this beginning. Like, if you haven't seen Scream, you've at least seen the beginning to this, at least the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's hard to break down because it's just good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the famous first, one of the famous first lines is, what's your favorite scary movie?
Well, the first line of this movie is, hello? Practical effects were great.
Mm-hmm.
They did a full body. I know you probably know. They did a full body cast for Drew.
Oh, clearly, yes. They're not hanging her from a tree.
This is a good movie with an amazing opening, with an amazing actress really selling this movie in the first 15 minutes.
And you got a goddamn good director.
Yeah. The one thing I will acknowledge is when we were watching this movie, when she went to pop the popcorn, you were like, I hate that type of popcorn.
I really do.
I didn't know that type of popcorn existed.
Oh,
I'm gonna be
really?
honest here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed.
Yes, it's old school.
Until I was like at Blockbuster one time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But this is probably going to be the most anticlimactic beginning because it's like, it's just really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a great chase scene. It's a great suspense builder. I will say, the fisheye lens was a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know if it was what we were watching. You know, maybe like you were saying, the theatrical cut when we were watching it, but it did throw me off a lot. It was a little off-putting. I got used to it. I didn't notice it after that. But I want to say also her death scene, really, really well done. Her like gurgling and like gasping, trying to scream for her parents when they come through the door was really well done too.
I just would have thrown the phone.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Chuck it. It was really scary when, they go to call the cops and they just hear the ending of the killing, but...
I couldn't imagine being in their shoes.
And you learned something new today. After you've seen this movie quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You finally learned her connection to the killers today.
I didn't realize it. I guess I always just threw it off in my brain. I never understood why they killed Casey. Stu's her ex, so spoiler alert.
And she broke up with him.
Right. But he says that's not what happened.
Yeah, because no one wants to be the breakup B.
Yeah,
they just want to be the breakup-er. It looks worse when you're the breakup-y. And I don't know. This is the only one I don't know who the killer is.
Oh, yes. We were trying to figure it out. It's...
Because motive screams Stu.
Clearly.
But the way he attacked screams Billy.
Yes.
Which is, that's the only weird one.
Right. That's the only one that would make sense. But, yeah, it seemed very unclear to me.
But after that, we cut to, we get the, like, incredibly zoom in on her mom screaming.
She did a really good job.
Yes. And we get the news descending on the town with the police investigation of the whodunit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. No. Do we go straight to Cindy's room first?
Yes, because remember I said, Billy needed an alibi, so he was with his girlfriend all night.
Yeah. Preceded by, he's so ugly.
He's so ugly. I know this actor was a heartthrob back in 1996. I know this for a fact. But now, no thank you. He's just greasy.
The oiled back,
gross.
slick hair. Ugh.
Yeah, it's bad.
If you have oily hair now, people are just like, ugh.
Go take a
gross.
shower, bro.
He must stink. But we get to next morning. Sydney gets to school. And we get Tatum with her braless self.
Yes.
This entire movie is Tatum has no bra on.
Correct.
And it's very noticeable. And we get this is where we get to meet we get Gail for a second.
Miss Gail Weathers.
Gail Weathers, my icon. Fun fact. So when it came to Gail, the casting directors really wanted somebody who was a well-known name.
Really?
Yes. However, Courtney Cox had to convince Wes Craven to hire her.
I'm surprised.
She had been so badly typecasted as the good girl, as the studious one. Even in like an old documentary, she mentioned that she had always been she'd been typecasted since Friends.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And she had to convince him that she can play a bitch.
Do we know who was also in the runner-ups for Gail?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But she was just like, hey, I can play a bitchy character. Like, I can do that.
Good for her.
And now, I can't see anyone else playing Gail Weathers.
No.
She is Gail Weathers. But in the evening, while waiting at home for her best friend Tatum to arrive, Sydney gets a taunting phone call and is attacked by the killer. In a great little just interaction between them.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I remember when we were watching it, and I was mentioning like Nev does look very innocent, like her demeanor, her appearance, and everything. But when she's talking to Ghostface on the phone, she has some grit. You know?
I think it's because at that time, initially she thinks it's Randy,
Right.
and then it turns out it's not, and he's like, I'm on the front porch, and she's like, okay, I'm just going to call your bluff then. If you're, because I know you're not there, I'm just
Yeah.
going to call the bluff. He's in the closet.
And you mentioned when we were watching, you're like, oh, listen. And when she walked past the closet the first time and the second time, the music cue just kind of goes a little eerie.
And you hear something come from the closet.
Yeah, a little thud or like a little shuffle.
But she gets away. She locks herself in her room the way she locked her dad out earlier in the movie,
Yep.
where she put like the closet door up against the other door.
Yep.
And we get the 911 over like internet.
Over the dial-up, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is,
It's great.
if anything had to date this movie, that's the thing that dates this movie.
Yeah, but she was so smart to think of that.
Oh, she was. It shows it's 96.
Yeah.
Sydney's boyfriend, Billy Loomis, arrives shortly after. When he drops his cell phone, Sydney suspects him of making the call and flees.
So we were talking about this. You don't think that he dropped the phone by accident. I do.
Yeah. I mean, I would get it if he dropped it by accident, but I also would feel like in order to make himself look more innocent, he would have needed to go to jail, get out, and everything. But also, we see later on in the movie, he makes himself look more suspicious because he didn't call Sydney.
Right.
Which means he called Stu.
Mm-hmm.
To basically say, hey, you have to call her to make me look innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Billy's arrested and questioned, but later at Tatum's house, Sydney receives another ominous call. So, this skips over like the best part of the movie, which is them leaving. and Sydney just blasting Gail in the face.
Yes. Oh, where they're leaving the police station.
Office.
Oh yeah, she looked pissed when she saw Gail.
Also, you hate Dewey.
I really do hate Dewey in this movie. He's so annoying. Okay. All right. I don't know if it's David Arquette's acting, if it's the script, if it's the character he's supposed to be playing, or all three together. But I do not like Dewey. That's probably very unpopular.
Well, you have to remember, Arquette originally went in for Billy.
Right. And I definitely cannot see that.
I can.
Really?
He looks... Yeah, I can kind of see it. He ended up wanting to do Dewey, but at that time, Dewey was etched as kind of the hunky cop character. Which makes sense when you see his lines.
Yeah.
Because if you had like a hunky, charming cop saying, I was once 24.
Okay.
You know,
If I saw a hunky cop that looks like 1996 Brad Pitt or something like that, I'd get it. I'd be like, oh, haha, he's so funny. But with David Arquette saying these lines, trying to be all smooth, I'm like, no, buddy.
Yeah.
It's not
well,
working.
they fixed that in the next movie where they just make him a dunce.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Once they kind of understood what his character really was, they really like leaned into it, I'd say. The next day, Billy is released, and suspicion shifts to Sydney's father, Neil Prescott. Talk about like one of the most forgotten plot points of this movie. It's her dad.
Yeah, they're
Even when he's the prime suspect, eventually it's like it's his car, and it's like, oh right, he's the prime suspect. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because a little bit here and there, they're like, oh, still haven't found your dad, Sydney, and I'm like, okay, like I know it's not him.
It's just like they keep bringing his name up, and like, do we really need to bring his name up? Like, everyone knows it's not him.
Yeah.
And even as myself, someone who's watched this movie a bunch of times, I forget he's a part of the movie.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I remember Maureen more than him, and he's alive. As school is suspended in the wake of the murders, the killer stabs Principal Arthur Himbury to death in his office. This skips over the really cool bathroom attack scene.
I was just gonna say that. Really good. I liked the scene. Well, first she goes into the bathroom because she's not having a good time. And these bitchy girls are talking about her and saying all these rumors and crap about her. And there's this lighting when she goes into the stall on her face that is really, really well done. Again, lighting, directing is really, really good. And her face acting is perfect. She's hurt. She doesn't understand, you know. But yeah, I just had to point that out.
Also, right before this, Billy is a fucking douchebag.
He is an absolute trash bag of a person.
If your mom was still alive, you'd have sex with me then,
right?
wouldn't you?
I mean, it's been a year, girl. Like, forget about it.
Get over it.
Come
Get
on,
over it.
man.
It's a year tomorrow. Get over
yeah,
it.
what's the big deal?
My mom's gone too. It's like, yeah, but your mom left.
It's not the same, I guess.
She chose to leave.
She's not dead.
My mom didn't choose to die. She was brutally murdered.
Yeah, he's the absolute worst. The entire movie, absolute worst.
He's just like, she's like, I'm sorry, I'm not like this thing for your perfect world. And he's like, that's not what I meant. And I'm just saying, like, that's kind of what you meant, though.
It's literally what you said. The entire movie, since we met you in her window, has been trying to pressure her into sex. She obviously is not comfortable.
The best like line she gave is, "Can we just have a PG-13 relationship?" And she just does the flash.
Great move.
Great thing by her.
Absolutely.
Also, since we just talked about Maureen's death, the kind of plot point for Gail and Sydney is Sydney put Cotton in jail. Mm-hmm. Gail Gail pretty sure he's innocent. Wrote a book, labeled kind of Sydney as a liar.
And her mom as, the town slut, as she calls her.
Yeah. Turns out she was right about
her mom's promiscuity.
Her mom sleeping around with people.
Right. No one's
Cotton. Well, I mean, it's that thing of which this movie sets it up, but it goes more and more later in the other movies. Gail is a good detective.
Yeah.
Gail knows what she's doing when she's not being, news anchor Gail Weathers.
Right. News anchor Gail Weathers isn't the nicest person either. So I'm sure what she said in the book wasn't very pleasant to either Sydney's mom or Sydney.
No. She needed to get book sales.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that,
which means you're gonna say things very, very
very
raunchy.
That nice right hook that Sydney gives her is definitely well deserved. That's for sure.
Oh, 100%. Also, Gail's outfits in this movie. She only has two. She only gets two outfits.
I feel like it's more.
Well, she gets the green one.
The iconic one, yeah.
Which she wears until she gets punched.
Right.
And then the next day she gets a red one. Mm-hmm. And the only other costume change is she has the overcoat over her red dress.
Right, but it's still the same dress. Yeah, okay. All right,
it's still the same dress, so she only has two costumes.
That's true, because everything happens in, 48 to 72 hours?
I'd say 48, 72. Yeah. I think the problem is they go day and night sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like... Well, actually, Casey dies that night. Mm-hmm. The next morning, what's her name happens.
They visit Sydney.
The next morning, they find her. That night, they get the attack.
Mm-hmm. The first one.
And then the following night is the climax.
Yeah, so about 72 hours.
Around 72. Tatum's boyfriend and Billy's best friend, Stu, throws a party to celebrate the school's closure. Or as he calls it, a siesta. Gail attends uninvited as she expects the killer will strike again. Tatum's older brother, Deputy Sheriff Dewey Riley, just Dewey, also looks out for the murderer at the party. The killer then murders Tatum by crushing her neck in the garage door. So, I think the problem is this movie packs a lot into the time it has. To the point where I remember I had to use the restroom one time, And I came back with, how much longer do you have? And you said an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, how does this movie have an hour? We went through like any other movie this entire season, the first 40 minutes would have been the entire movie's plot.
Oh, yeah. And then the rest is used for the slicing and dicing.
Yeah. So we get, they going to throw a party. We get Tatum kind of telling Sydney that her mom may not be who she thought she was. That there may be some sort of truth to what Gail is kind of putting out there. We get that really stupid ghost face shot of him in the trees.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest shot in the entire movie for me. We get the smoking ice cream scene between the sheriff and Dewey, where it's like, do you remember Sydney's father is a character?
It's like, right. Sure. He's important.
The movie tries to make him a thing. He's not a thing.
He's really not.
We get to the party. It's a party. It's a party. Randy is being Randy.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, for sure.
I mean, the thing is, I get his character, but his character is also really annoying at the same time.
I mean, that's the point, right? He's supposed to be the annoying friend.
True, but I don't know. It felt like they tried to go overboard in the scripting with him sometimes.
It's like when we watched Final Girls, and the brother, I think it was the brother who was the movie buff, the horror movie buff.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's the same type of character.
True, but brother gets killed for stupidity. Jamie's not actually stupid.
True.
Oh, sorry. Randy's not stupid.
Right.
But we get, what's her name getting killed, which is, I know you think it's your favorite death in the movie. To me, it's so unrealistic. I don't like the kill.
I liked it for the practical effects. That's probably my favorite
I can get
of it. It's classic Wes Craven. You know what I mean? That's why I like it. Probably my favorite kill would probably be Drew Barrymore's.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole scene was really, really good. But, yeah, practical effects, it would be Tatum's.
And also, Tatum is the one who dubs him Ghostface.
Yep. Good way to go out, girl. I love her line about the, "Don't kill me, Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel."
Sequel. The movie's very tongue-in-cheek. Especially with when we come back in a little bit. So basically, Gail put like a camera facing the group in the house when she went in with Dewey. And Randy is watching Halloween.
Yeah.
And he keeps telling Jamie to turn around. And you were joking. And I remember I said, it's funny because his name is Jamie in real life.
Right.
So it's
Little.
It's a little. I don't know if it was intentionally made
It
for
had
that,
to be.
but
It had to be.
I don't think like someone out there in casting was like, we have to find an actor who's good to complete this role and is named Jamie.
Well, he could have said Jamie Lee Curtis's character's name in the movie.
True.
You know what I mean?
I feel like probably it was. They kind of were like, oh, well, when in Rome.
Exactly.
Jamie Lee Curtis. This guy's named Jamie. Just go with it.
No, absolutely.
I don't think it was intentionally written as that. Many party attendees are drawn away after hearing of the principal's death, leaving only Sydney, Billy, and their friends Randy, Stu, and Gail's cameraman Kenny. Poor Kenny.
Poor Kenny. Also, I just want to say...
Kenny gets so abused and then just killed.
I still hate Billy with all of my being, and I'm so sad that Sydney, her first sexual experience is with Billy. I hate it. I hate it so much. He's the worst.
I know.
I know it
Here's
had
the
to
thing,
happen,
though.
but he's the worst.
Gail crashes her van while escaping, and Dewey is stabbed in the back while in... after having sex, Sydney and Billy are confronted by the killer. Sydney escapes from the house and seeks help from Kenny, but the killer fatally slashes his throat because he forgets that the delay is on 30 seconds.
Now, that's also really cool. I just want to say this entire last third act is really, really well thought out, and there's a lot that could have happened both in the editing and directing I guess even writing, where things could have got really scrambled. Because if you
It's
have two,
one giant chase scene for the third
exactly
act.
one giant chase scene, you have two killers, which is not very typical in your horror movies at all or ever. So keeping track of where they are at all times throughout the entire movie, where Billy or Stu are, and they can't be in the same place at once usually, is you got to give credit to the movie for that. I'm never confused. I'm always like, who's who? Is it one person? Is it two?
I mean, even when you can tell, except for that one time, you can tell who's under the mask by the way they like attack a person, which is really good. That's like attention to. Oh, also, if I remember correctly, one's left-handed and one's right-handed, so the knife switches hands.
Oh, very cool.
Times.
I didn't notice that.
If I remember that correctly. Gail crashes her. Oh yeah. Sydney escapes from the house, seeks help. He gets killed. 30-second delay, which was it was nice that it was set up as a 30-second delay.
Yeah.
And while he's dying, he tells her about the door in the back of the van.
Yeah, I really like that.
Which was a good thing. Gail crashes her van while escaping, and Dewey is stabbed in the back while investigating the house. Sydney takes his gun for protection. Randy and Stu show up and accuse each other of being the killer, but Sydney retreats back into the house where she finds Billy wounded.
I want to say Sydney is a tough cookie. This entire third act, she is fighting tooth and nail through the entire time. She's awesome. I love Sydney.
I just
so
like
much.
I just like when Randy and Stu were blaming each other. She's just like, okay, I can't trust either of you. None of you are allowed in now.
Yeah, goodbye.
Fuck you both. Bye. And then she was an idiot and trusted Billy.
Well, it's her boyfriend who she saw in front of her get stabbed, or so she thought.
And is now walking around perfectly normal.
Again, she's on adrenaline. She's scared. I get it.
I'm just saying, not everybody can be as smart as Gail Weathers.
That's very true. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Even though I do think the best one was when she, like, gets the cameraman off the car.
Yeah. Sorry, Kenny, but get the goddamn off my windshield.
After let Randy inside, Sydney gives Billy the gun, and Billy shoots and injures Randy, revealing himself to be the killer, and Stu reveals himself to be the second killer by talking into the voice changer.
This is so good. So good.
This entire scene was what the script writer was like, going to Wes Craven being like, I don't think we should do it like this.
Really?
It's making me too uneasy. I don't like it.
That's perfect. That's great.
And Wes Craven was like, well, the script says this is happening, so if you can tell me how two guys stabbing each other can, look better, tell me.
Oh, that's so good. The revelation to Sydney when it's Billy, and she's just like, completely broken about it. She's really, really upset. And then Stu comes in. She's like, oh my God, Stu, blah, blah. And then he takes out that recorder or the voice changer. Oof. Now it's two people that are
the one
the
thing
killer?
that's kind of sucks is like, you can tell both of them were the killers because they're so...
Right. Okay, but again, we've seen this movie multiple times. If you're seeing this
True.
for the first time in 1996, you're like, what? They're both
You
the
can definitely
killer?
piece Billy's the killer.
Yes. But you're just thinking
can
Stu was just a, dope.
Dumbass?
Yeah.
He's just an idiot. But yeah, Billy and Stu corner Sydney into the kitchen and discuss their plan to kill her and pin the murder spree on her father, whom they've taken hostage. That plot point finally got resolved, thank God.
Let's talk about the acting in this scene.
Matthew Lillard is the best thing about this movie.
1,000%.
Acting-wise.
1,000%.
He's leagues above everybody else.
He really is. The entire time I was watching this movie, and I think I said it a couple times when we were watching it, I was like, I really don't like him. Like, he's just an asshole. And I'm like, you're a really, really good actor if you're making me feel this way about your character, and I still want to see more of you on screen.
I kind of wish maybe he could have been Randy in a way.
Just so we can get more of him?
Well, that, but I also think he could have been Randy. Like, he could have pulled a better Randy than
easily.
Jamie Kennedy.
Easily.
But he does have that kind of psycho look to him.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to be Shaggy in a few years. They also reveal that they essayed, I'm not saying that actual word, and murdered her mother and framed Cotton for it, as she was having an affair with Billy's father, which drove his mother away.
So this leads...
This is where convenient plot points have to be, closed for, convenience sake.
Right. But this also lets me know that the entire time they were in their relationship, which is 2 years, this is all he's been thinking about. It had to been.
That's true.
And that's so...
It's like 1 year I got a plan and can kill her mom. Second year, I got to take her virginity and kill her.
But that's just so fucked up for Sydney. And that really makes more sense about her trust issues later on in the other movies.
My question is this, because I've been trying to figure this out the entire movie. Would they have killed her before? Because if they wanted to do this full elaborate scheme, would they really have killed her, like, in her house or in the bathroom?
Maybe windows of opportunity, or they just really wanted to scare the shit out of her. They wanted her frightened.
Because I was thinking, okay, well, Billy was there, so what it could have been was, at least at the house, Stu could have tried to kill her, and then Billy could have rushed in. Be like the knight in shining armor.
Right. I don't know. I think, to me, it goes back to when they were talking about when the students first got interviewed for Casey's murder. The boys were like, "Oh, did they ask you if you liked to hunt?" And this made me kind of think of, well, they were treating Sydney like prey. They were toying with her.
Mm-hmm. I get that, but there was just a few times where I'm like, if she didn't fight back, would you just be like, okay, I'm done?
Yeah, right. But
gotta go home now. Sorry, it's not time yet.
Yeah.
Gail intervenes and allows Sydney to escape and turn the tables on the killers, taunting them with a phone call and donning the killer's costume before knocking Billy out and dropping a television set on Stu's head, killing him. That television kill is one of my favorites.
Oh, it's great.
I'm just putting it out
great.
there.
But
also, Gail fucking Weathers.
Hell yes. But before
better than Sydney all day, every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. But before we get to that, I just want to go back to the awesome acting where they're stabbing each other. And again, Matthew's just giving it 110%. He's so good.
My favorite part is after she goes away and he's on the phone.
Yeah. He's like, I'm dying here, man.
You hit me with the phone, you did. Like the peer pressure line. My parents are gonna be so mad at me.
So good. He's the best part of this movie.
An enraged Billy awakens and attacks Sydney, but Gail shoots him because she remembered the safety.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy is revealed to be wounded but alive and remarks that the killer always resurfaces for one last scare. As Billy rises, Sydney shoots him in the head, killing him for good. As police arrive, Dewey, badly injured, is taken away by the ambulance as Gail makes an impromptu news report about the night's events. This is such a quick turnaround also. Like, he knocks Gail out. Sydney's missing. Within 3 minutes, she kills the both of them.
Yeah.
Especially when she turns the tables on them and Billy just goes fucking crazy.
Yeah, he goes apeshit because he doesn't have control anymore. The entire movie, he had control of every situation, and then she's just like, nope, it's my turn.
I also think she may have gotten to him when she called him a mama's boy.
Oh, easily.
I feel like that was something that she knew was going to be like, and that's like...
She's been the girlfriend of this guy for 2 years. She knows how to push his buttons. Come on.
Yeah. Stu's great.
Amazing.
Stu has probably one of the coolest stats of the TV falling on his face.
And I like how it's Jamie Lee Curtis on the screen with her pushing it on. So a final girl helping a final girl out.
And we get Gail Weathers saving the day.
Oh, good Gail.
Which she called, before she got knocked out.
She did.
She called, I'm the one who saves the day, and she saved the fucking day.
Hell yeah.
Because she is Gale Weathers, and Sidney Prescott would be nothing without Gale Weathers. Scream would be nothing without Gale Weathers. Horror would be nothing without Gale Weathers. As you can tell, I love Gale Weathers.
You clearly love Gale, yes.
I love Gale so much. It was funny because as a kid, I hated her, and now, like, as an adult, I'm like, I just want to be Gale. I want that confidence in my life.
Oh, yes, easily.
But that was the movie. Fun fact, we went to this movie in 30 minutes. You know what that means? We get to talk about what we actually want to talk about now, and like just kind of discuss the movie in general.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, fun fact, I didn't see this until I was like older. I saw Scream 2 before Scream 1.
What's older? I don't...
Probably like 13, 14.
Oh, okay.
I saw Scream 2 when I was like 6.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I think it was because my mom just had it on VHS, so that was just the one we had available.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know the original Scream. I just kind of knew them as the Scream 2 versions. So seeing them as like the proto Sydney and the proto Gale and the proto Dewey was really weird when I first watched it. Especially Gale, because Gale gets a lot better in 2.
More tolerable, like as a person.
Yeah. Dewey is non-recognizable compared to the first movie because he's written as slick. He's not slick.
No, not at all.
He's not slick.
And again, I think that's because David Arquette cannot be slick. To me.
Oh, yeah. Of course he can't. I do think the one thing that was like a little bit of a shocker of this movie is it's a slasher with not a lot of deaths.
But it's goddamn bloody, that's for sure.
It's bloody, but like in my head, it's like I forget the principal dies because he's such like a blink and you miss it death.
The Fonz.
But you only have like in my head the deaths I can only remember is Casey in the beginning,
and her boyfriend.
And
that was pretty gross.
It's so weird because her boyfriend's always forgotten because her boyfriend's technically the first kill of the entire franchise, but people just say it's Casey.
Yeah.
That just shows kind of how like blinking you miss it for his death, or like how inconsequential his death really feels. I hate that Casey had to die because she lost to Friday the 13th. Fucking hate it. Hate that series. Also, the entire time we were watching this movie, every time we got to someone's house, we were like, these houses are so nice. They're so, like, rich.
They're so rich Californian white people. It's so nice.
Sydney has a double-decker porch with a stairway that gets her to the 2 floors of her porch.
I love these houses so much.
I would be paranoid as hell in those houses, though,
easily.
because they're so big.
Easily.
If I heard a creak, I'd be like, and there's someone in this house with me. Fan-fucking-tastic. That's great. But what was when you first watched this movie, what was like your reaction to it, if you can remember anything about that?
My first time watching it was probably I was probably young. I was probably maybe 8, 9, 10, maybe.
Okay.
It was definitely in a movie night sleepover session type of thing because we always watched horror movies. It was a good time. I remember I loved watching it with my friends, and just, eating popcorn and everything like that. It's an enjoyable, scary movie to me. I like the whole time we were watching, I was like, I'm glad I didn't take notes because I just couldn't. I was just like, yeah, I love watching this movie. It's a really good time.
The one thing about this movie is it's a little hard to talk about.
Yeah. I enjoy the whole thing.
Yeah. Because it's like, talk about the movie. It's good.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you acknowledge it. Like, it's good. We can acknowledge what, like, it's done for us as people who like horror or, like, the impact on it outside. Especially because this is probably the one I have the least solid opinion on, in a way. I can go in on 2. I love 2. 2 had like the whole thing of the script leaking, and then they had to rewrite the script, and da-da-da-da. Scream 3 is a fucking mess, so that's fun. Scream 4 has Hayden Panettiere.
for this movie, again, it's to me, it's a great time overall. Again, great movie overall. The directing, editing, lighting, music, acting. Overall, everything's really well done. Do we give our ratings yet? Should we just do our ratings now?
Well, we haven't even done movie roundup.
Well, I feel like this is the movie roundup.
Well, okay. Here's what I'm going to say about this movie. It wrote the formula.
Yep.
For movies that we will probably go into in the future, and we'll go into them, and you know they'll be like, oh, it's a Scream copy, yeah, because Scream was successful.
It made money.
If you want to know one other fun fact, this movie only had one test screening.
Seriously?
Yeah, they had one test screening, and that was it.
Wow, it must have did really well.
Yeah, it did.
I mean,
very well. And that's the thing is, it did very well. And then you see that trailer, and it's like,
that's on the studio. That's on the studio.
Oh, 100% on the studio.
That's on them.
It looks so schlock.
Yeah.
Ooh, how would I rate this movie? I would rate it because we did our whole thing. You know, our rating system was broken. We're trying to fix it, which means, you know, I can't flip it on the last episode and be like, oh, actually, it's a 10.
Mine's a 7.5.
Really, I'm actually gonna rank it higher.
I can't rank it over Texas. I'm sorry.
I think it's better than Texas by at least.
Well,
like miles.
that's your opinion.
Yeah. Oh man, because here's the thing. I can acknowledge that, like, film, like, you know, directing wise, like all that stuff. This is the best one, like writing and everything, but it's not my favorite. The next movie's my favorite,
well,
but I also know that movie's not better than Scream 1.
I think it's because you just have nostalgia with the second movie. That's all.
Oh, that, but also the second movie is where we get to really know the characters for what they will become.
Yeah.
And this kind of is, you know, like when you play a video game and you play the first game and you're like, I love this game. This game is fantastic. And then you play the second game and the UI is so much better and cleaner and sleeker and just you like it more. And then you go back and play that first game and you're like, God, the UI looks fucking atrocious compared to the second game. That's kind of how I feel about the characters in Scream 2. It's just like they're a lot more sleek. They're a lot more refined than what they are in Scream 1. Probably because they were not making this for a sequel.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, they were like, oh, we hope it does well. And there we go.
It makes money.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there was a thing of they weren't even sure if this was going to make it to theaters.
Oh, wow.
Because of how gory Casey was, how gory Tatum was, and how gory the Stu and Billy stabbing each other was. Mm-hmm. They were very unsure they were going to make it. And Wes, I'm pretty sure Wes was on record for saying, like, if it makes it to theaters, it will be successful, but it has to make it to theaters first. Mm-hmm. I will rate this movie. You know what? Fuck it. My brain's telling me 9, so I'm giving it a 9.
Damn. Shit.
Fuck it. Like, if my brain is, like, everything is in me is like, it's a 9, I'm not gonna be like, well, should I down it to an 8 just in case? Like, no.
That's, in my heart of hearts, I feel it's a 9 because of how well done everything is and cohesive it is. But, like, the core of me is like, it's higher than Texas. Like,
you can bring Texas up. You don't have to be like, oh, well, you know, Texas.
Okay, fine.
Has to stay at an 8.5 forever.
Since we know that my rating system is completely botched, I will give this a 8.5.
All right. If you hear paper twirling right now, this is me going and fixing Paige's fucking broken ass bullshit. All right. So Texas Chainsaw gets up to a 9, and this goes to 8.5. Got it.
There we go. That sounds about right.
Jesus.
I'm one of those people that nothing can be a 10. Nothing can be perfect.
Oh, God. You're one of those people that's like, if it's not perfect, it's not a 10. I hate those people.
I know. I hate myself. Don't worry about it.
It doesn't have to be perfect to be a 10. It just has to be the best at what it is.
That's true. But whatever. For now, For now.
Like, I will say this: whenever we do the original Nightmare, I will put Nightmare as a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it is the best for what that is. Scream. Do I think it's the best ever? No, because it redefined an entire genre.
It really
for
did.
like
It
even
gave,
to this day.
It gave life to the genre again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Scream 5 is the movie that beat was the first movie to beat Spider-Man in the box office.
Right. But yeah,
So.
Overall, absolutely love this goddamn movie.
Oh, it's a great movie.
It's so solid.
It is also probably the horror movie that the LGBTQ plus community has like rallied around the most.
Why?
I think it's because Billy and Stu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly. 2, Gail Weathers is a freaking gay icon.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I mean, clearly.
She is
That's
a gay
no
icon.
question.
And Sydney?
Yes.
Kind of?
Yes. I was going to say, is it Sydney? Is Sydney the reason? Because I could totally see
It's kind of everybody in general.
Yeah, no. Randy,
in a way.
I could see.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. I see that.
Dewey with that mustache. But it's that I've seen over the years the community that like has attached the strongest to that movie, and it is that community. And I think it's a good thing that the community has a franchise like that they can rally behind, because
no, for sure.
It's hard to rally behind a Friday.
Yeah. But
it's hard to rally behind, Texas Chainsaw, but you find these characters that you can really see yourself in. I think that's good for everybody.
Absolutely.
But that's our movie roundup. Usually this is where we go into a haunt. Haunt's changing for the next 5 episodes,
right,
because at the end we're building, the haunt of all the movies. But it's going to be hard in 10 weeks to be like, okay, let's go back to Scream 1 and try to piece this together.
Exactly.
So what we're going to do is together we are going to piece together what, I'll let you decide, 3 or 5 rooms should be up for contention.
I would say 3 because there's a total of 5 movies. So that's a good amount.
So it'll be 15 rooms. Has to be down to like 7 or 8 rooms, which means you have to cut it dead in half, basically.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a question. Is this going to be a thing where we go off for 5 minutes, or are we just going to...
Let's just roll with it.
Just jump right in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let's
so,
go.
What is your contention for first roll?
Casey.
Okay. Where? Because we can't be like, and you stole the entire Casey house.
I would we would have to include the tree where we find her.
I think the tree is a great thing of when you're going through the facade and you're walking into the house and you just see, like, you're going through, like, trees and you see her hanging in the distance while you're going in. I think she's the perfect facade.
And I also think a good soundbite would be we hear the phone off the hook if we're going past her. I think that would be good.
You can hear... What we could probably do is we can go past Casey, go into the house, hear the phone ringing, or off the hook, either one. And then Ghostface jumps out there.
Okay.
All right. So Casey's pretty defined as probably going to be the beginning of the house in general. Mm-hmm. Like that one's... Now we got to find 2 other rooms.
All right, it's your turn.
After Casey, it gets a little tough, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you know me, I'm going to write a second house in general. It's called The Adventures of Gail Weathers. It's just going to be us going through Gail Weathers' wardrobe.
I would be disappointed if that didn't happen.
And then when we get to the 3rd movie, we're going to sit for a documentary about her bangs.
Oh, clearly.
If I had to do a second movie, because the thing is, the one thing that's like really bad about Scream in this sense is everything's in a fucking house. Yeah. It's in like somebody's house. It's like, it's in her house. No, it's in Casey's house, then it's in Sydney's house, and then it's in Stu's house, and then it's like, it's just everywhere. Regardless though, I think the next logical place would be Sydney's house.
Okay.
Would be up for contention. The unfortunate thing is it uses the same BS as Casey, so I feel like it gets null and voided for that reason. My only other two I can think off the top of my head is either the bathroom or Tatum.
I was thinking the bathroom, but we should include Tatum because it's a memorable kill.
Yeah.
But okay, so we can have the bathroom, and then to go into the third one, it would be Tatum, and then, the final bit into the kitchen, maybe.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, there's no way you're not gonna have Billy jumping out at the people.
Yeah.
At the viewer.
Yeah.
You need Billy and you need Stu. The thing is, we're at 3 rooms, which means we have to cut something at some point.
Cut the bathroom?
The thing is, the bathroom is small, and you kind of know what's going to happen in the bathroom. So maybe we cut the bathroom, we do the Tatum scene, and then we do Stu.
Okay.
And Billy, of course.
Yeah, that goes.
The thing is, I can openly say this: these 3 rooms are not all 3 of these are not making it into the final.
No,
there's no way.
But for now, we have the 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Casey is going to be the beginning of the house no matter what.
She has to be. She's the beginning of the franchise.
I can see Tatum getting cut.
Possible, but we'll see.
I can see Billy making it, though, because that is probably the other most important part of the movie in general, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will say this is probably our shortest episode we've ever done. This episode was really hard because it's hard to go into a movie that's just good.
I just want to rave about it. Like, I don't know. I love this movie. It's great. That's it. It's hard
to make jokes. Also,
yeah.
That's something that's good.
Yeah.
Once we get to like 2 and 3, there's like stupid.
Oh,
shit
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. But this is such a solid movie.
I'll just go into full Gale Weathers fandom.
It's such a solid movie. That's all you can say about it.
Yeah. But probably figure out next episode Scream 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So
in I want to say it's 98.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, a 2-year jump. That 98 sounds right. Had a jacked up production,
which I don't know anything about, so I'm excited to learn.
Got fast tracked.
Yeah.
Got leaked.
Cool.
Had to rewrite the movie.
Cool.
Remember how I said, oh, Gale Weathers was supposed to die in this movie when we were talking off a podcast?
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. She was supposed to die next movie.
Oh.
It was supposed to be her and Dewey die.
I could see that.
Yeah. But it went through a massive rewrite. People that were supposed to live died. People who were not supposed to be the killer ended up being the killers. So it gets nonsensical. I will admit, the next movie, for like motives and shit, gets very nonsensical in a way.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for Scream, the beginning of our franchise run through it.
Do you remember? Let's end on this. Do you remember when we started Friday and we were like, we have to get to like all these Friday movies, and then like by the end of the second episode, we wanted to just cancel the show.
Mm-hmm.
I have no want to cancel the show for Scream. I just want to get through all these Scream movies. I just want to watch them.
For sure.
It's a nice variation between we were miserable for our first franchise, very happy about our second franchise.
Oh yeah. But again, yeah, please join us for the rest of our run through it.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.